Good evening, I'm Marco Louie, and welcome to Northfell News TV. In a significant development, the United States appears to have expanded its agreement with Ukraine, now permitting Ukrainian forces to strike Russian territory wherever Russian forces are initiating cross-border attacks, not just in the previously restricted Kharkiv region. And National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke to PBS News, stating that the revised agreement allows Ukraine to target any Russian forces crossing the border into Ukrainian territory. He emphasized that this policy is driven by practical necessity rather than geographical constraints. Sullivan said it extends to anywhere that Russian forces are coming across the border from the Russian side to the Ukrainian side to try to take additional Ukrainian territory. It's not about geography, it's about common sense. Supporting this position, Pentagon spokesman Major Charlie Dietz confirmed that the U.S. has approved the use of U.S.-provided weapons for Ukraine to strike Russian forces attempting to invade. Dietz remarked, if Russia is attacking or about to attack from its territory into Ukraine, it only makes sense to allow Ukraine to hit back against the forces that are hitting it from across the border. Despite these assertions, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Patrick Ryder maintained on Thursday that the policy had not changed, affirming that Ukraine has always been permitted to conduct necessary cross-border counterstrikes. However, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin had previously implied that the policy was limited to the Kharkiv region. Austin noted Ukraine requested permission to conduct counterfire in the Kharkiv area using U.S. weapons, and President Biden granted them permission to do that. This shift signifies a major change from the previously limited scope of the U.S.-Ukraine agreement. Initially, President Joe Biden had authorized Ukraine to conduct limited strikes within Russia using U.S. weapons, primarily restricting these actions to the Kharkiv region. The potential for policy change was hinted at last week by a senior U.S. Defense Department official who indicated that the U.S. has increasingly approved measures it had previously been hesitant about, citing examples like F-16S and other advanced weaponry. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has also supported greater flexibility for Ukraine to strike military targets on Russian territory, arguing that this is essential for Ukraine's self-defense. Stoltenberg stated if the Russian forces, the artillery, the missile batteries were safe as soon as they were on the Russian side of the border, it would become extremely difficult for Ukrainians to defend themselves. Furthermore, the U.S. has clarified that Ukraine can use U.S.-provided air defense systems to target Russian planes in Russian airspace if they pose an imminent threat to Ukraine. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby confirmed this, noting that Ukraine has the right to shoot down hostile aircraft regardless of their location. These developments mark a notable escalation in the U.S.'s support for Ukraine as it continues to defend its sovereignty against Russian aggression. Stay tuned for more updates. I'm John Brown, and this is Northfell News TV.